So our next panel is about crypto tribalism. I'll be hosting this one. Before we call the guests on, I just want to give a little background on tribalism and exactly what it is. I won't get too deep into evolutionary biology because then we'd be here for hours, but we'll do a quick little deep dive. So we really need to go back to the hunter-gatherer to understand where our tribal tendencies came from. We used to live in tribes of anywhere between a few dozen up to 150 people. Now, we were never the strongest animal, so we needed each other to survive. The well-being of our tribe members was our own well-being. So you can see why we would evolve to greatly care for those in our tribe. Yet other tribes competed with us for resources, so they were often seen as the enemy. So we could see how we evolved to love our own and hate the other. Now, we live in a world that's vastly different than the hunter-gatherer days, but our biology is evolving very slowly. We live in a world of abundance, but the tribal tendencies still exist, and we see this manifested in all walks of life. We see people fighting over which nation is the best, which religion is the best, and even things even more trivial. People are getting into fistfights over which sports team they like better. And if you go to Reddit or Telegram, you'll see the EOS people fighting with the Ethereum people, who are fighting with the Cardano people, who are fighting with the Tron crew, and then the Bitcoin maximalists are shitting on everybody. And that's really the state of crypto today. But maybe there's some benefit to crypto tribalism. Or maybe it's all bad. Today we're going to explore just that. So I'm very happy to announce our exciting panel. Give it up for George Sheng. He is the CEO of MyKey and the co-founder of Key Group, and co-founder of one of the top EOS block producers, EOSDT. Next, I'd like to invite Michael Nye up to the stage, big-time YouTube influencer and the co-founder of Titan Ventures, as well as host of the What is Crypto podcast. Give it up for Michael. I'd like to invite Carter Feldman to the stage, an AI developer and the founder of one of the top EOS block producers, EOS Rapid. Give it up for Carter. And last but certainly not least, I'd like to invite Tone Vays up to the stage, also big-time YouTube influencer with over 88,000 subscribers on his channel, and a self-proclaimed Bitcoin maximalist. Welcome, guys. So, while I did give a brief introduction, I'll let everybody take a turn to give a little more background on who you are and what you do.
For sure, I guess I'll go. So I'm Carter, and I run EOS Rapid, and as well as that, I also run a software outsourcing platform that builds lots of dApps for enterprise and individuals across Asia.
I'm Michael. I think you explained it pretty well. I run Titan Ventures. We run a media company, as well as the What is Crypto podcast, where we try to educate people on all things crypto.
I'm George. I come from China. So I'm actually the co-founder of Key Group, which is a mother company of MyKey. I'm also the CEO of MyKey. Key Group is a blockchain value-adding company in China. We hold the largest community platform in China called Bihu.com. And also MyKey, we currently become the largest EOS wallet in the last 2 weeks. So I'm very happy today to share with you.
Congrats.
Hey everyone, my name is Tone Vays. I come from the traditional Wall Street environment. I joined the crypto space around 2013. I have several podcasts, including news shows with Bitcoin core developers, and try to educate about Bitcoin and what is and isn't decentralized.
Awesome, thank you guys. So I assume ahead of time that there's going to be many differences of opinion, so I just want to put this out there. I want us to all go into this panel with an open mind. I want us to come into this expecting to learn something new and perhaps even have a slightly different opinion from when we started, and I think we'll all be better off if we go into it with that mindset. So to get started, and I'm going to let the conversation flow freely. I want everybody to be able to express themselves. Do you belong to a particular tribe in crypto? And if so, which one? And you could take it in whichever order you want.
No, not necessarily.
No, I never even thought of it that way. I always saw Bitcoin as innovative technology, and we continue to try and explain why it's actually innovative. It's other people try to put you in tribes or in groups, and yeah, ever since Vitalik Buterin created the term Bitcoin maximalist to try and demonize people that were trying to explain to him what he's building makes no sense. We kind of started to embrace it.
I mean, I would say that I was previously in the Ethereum tribe, and then because I was building lots of Ethereum dApps and my customers weren't happy, I switched to the EOS, I guess, tribe. So.
Why did you do that?
Because transaction fees are too expensive.
What do you think is going to happen with EOS? Where are you switching to next?
I'm sticking with EOS, so.
This is being recorded.
I'm sure George. Yeah. Oh yeah, for all of us, right? I'm sure George can attest to the benefits of EOS.
Yeah, so
I think that Larimer said the same thing about BitShares once.
Maybe third time's a charm.
So this is the thing that happened. So based on what we experienced, my co-founder is actually the earliest Tribalism of Ethereum, because he is the translator of Ethereum from English to Chinese, the Chinese version of Ethereum white paper. And at the beginning, he and his friends, including me, we think that Ethereum is gonna be the world computer for the coming 3 years. So we have a bunch of fans who is following Ethereum very much, but many people like I think it's like Carter thing, because Ethereum do have a lot of problems. Though when we decided to do MyKey, MyKey is a multiple chain wallet, a cross chain wallet, we have a choice to choose Ethereum or EOS to be the #1 root chain for our solution. And internally we had a discussion, and I clearly remember the votes is like 5 to 6. 5 for Ethereum, 6 to EOS. So it's a very tough decision. So it did happen everywhere, I think, for Ethereum and EOS, and I think also on Bitcoin, because there's so many IFO, right? So a lot of fork offering, BCH, BCC. In China, there's a lot of B started because Bitcoin. So I think, but there was some problem that happened because when we launched EOS, when we launched MyKey on EOS, because it's a non-gas solution. User doesn't have to pay gas to play that. It is actually very useful for Ethereum. But because we launched on EOS first, there was a lot of Ethereum defense saying this is not good. And even for our co-founder, he's saying, okay, it kind of betrayed Ethereum. So this is what happened. But on technology side, I think Ethereum is really need this kind of solution to care. For example, in Maker, I think Maker has got some kind of limits of what he can do, because he can only serve, I think, Ethereum owners and crypto owners. But if he can open to non-crypto owners, which means they do not know how to transfer tokens on Ethereum public chains, so they can open to big market. But because of kind of tribalism, I think they're stopping something from that. And maybe there's also other new technologies in different public chains not accepted by the Ethereum or Bitcoin, but maybe you guys have different ideas. But my perspective is this kind of tribalism is stopping the technology from one public chain to another public chain, especially there was some kind of good advantage for different public chains.
Cool, thank you.
I guess I would disagree a little bit with that, because I do think that competition, and this probably also gets in with more of the kind of just general things about tribalism in general, not just within crypto, but I think the competition does make like the chains like kind of strive to kind of one-up each other by introducing new technologies, because they want their tribe to win. You know, maybe if we're all on the same team, people won't be as like passionate about it, or like, you know, you see with sports teams. Yeah, at the same time, we definitely see it in EOS. I think there's some, like, you know, in EOS, we pretty much just have, like, Boss and Telos as our, like, kind of main inter-community tribes, and there's definitely some technologies that can be brought onto main chain that perhaps because of political reasons haven't been...
Yes, that's happening also in EOS.
I'll comment. Everyone was on the same team. Everyone, you know, was using Bitcoin at one point. I remember the 2013 days when the price started to go up, and everyone was trying to get retail to accept Bitcoin as a currency. And actually a lot of big players started accepting it, including Expedia and Dish Network. It was starting to work. But then what happened in 2014 and 2015, everyone wanted to start printing their own money. And now you're trying to convince stores and other places to accept other currencies, which end up failing, end up losing way more money, and you're confusing the consumer. That kind of mentality of printing your own money transitioned into printing, you know, other platforms like Ethereum, and then what was it, EOS and Cardano and all the rest. And this is not a competition in technology. You can do technology and then you can compete for customers. This is a competition in you're printing money, you're getting a bunch of influencers, you're trying to get as many people to pump your coin. It's a competition in influence. It's not a competition in technology. If you want to build technology, go build technology. Your technology doesn't have to come with a speculative token traded on unregulated exchanges. That's not technology. That's printing of money, which is why where I make the difference between the two.
I mean, do you think there's no value in smart contracts? Because writing smart contracts on Bitcoin is pretty much impossible. I mean, there's the limitation on opcodes is just like you can't really do anything.
I think there's lots of value in smart contracts. The problem is 99% of the time, someone on stage says the word smart contract, and they actually they don't explain to you what a smart contract is. In this building, probably the most valuable smart contract is a soda machine. You put $1 in that soda machine and it spits out your soda. That's a smart contract. That's not a new concept. We've had those forever. It's an automated system that doesn't require basically an intermediary. What people try to show with the smart contract is the fact that the smart contract needs to be decentralized. And it doesn't. It really, really doesn't. Decentralization is a grossly inefficient tool. Look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a decentralized smart contract that is burning electricity the size of a medium-sized country now. I'm okay with that. I think it's great. I think that's what keeps Bitcoin decentralized. That's what keeps Bitcoin censorship resistant. That's what keeps Bitcoin as an unconfiscatable asset, which is my most important property. Now, when it comes to a smart contract, it requires something in the physical world. There's got to be some kind of an interaction in the physical world. And therefore, it doesn't require decentralization. For now, until the regulators catch up with it, you're getting away with regulatory arbitrage, you're getting away with speculative investment, but eventually that's going to end. The only smart contract that actually needs decentralization is a contract that would pretty much need censorship resistance, which is probably something that is illicit in that specific jurisdiction. And eventually, it either, you won't need it, or you'll have to function. For example, Airbnb will not be decentralized, but it will be where Airbnb is illegal. You're always going to want, because it requires interaction in the physical world. Having it decentralized makes absolutely no sense. It's just a giant inefficiency that the market will eventually eliminate.
Will they eliminate it with Bitcoin as well? because you kind of, you're arguing in parallel that like
Oh,
smart
they can't.
contracts aren't necessary,
Well, they can't.
and then they are necessary for Bitcoin.
Oh no,
Because Bitcoin is the smart contract.
the government can totally destroy Bitcoin. All they have to do is eliminate all money laundering laws, eliminate all KYC laws, stop printing money so much, allow people to have full right of their money, never confiscate their money, never freeze their assets. If the governments around the world come together and they put all that in place, Bitcoin will probably not be needed.
Well,
I just don't see that
Well,
happening
so-
anytime soon.
Well, also, like, it's not so much that if they don't do these things, and there's some verifiable way for people to know and feel confident that they're not going to do them in the future either, right? Like, how do they prove to
Agreed.
people?
Oh, agreed. Which is why I don't think Bitcoin is going anywhere. But all these other things, they're probably going away because give me your best thinking. Give me your best example of why you need to decentralize. What smart contract do you need to decentralize?
Well, okay. So I guess there's a few big ones. So one is like gambling, because like a lot of gambling around the world is ran by kind of shady people, and people still like to gamble. So
Gambling is pretty regulated where it's legal.
I'm aware it's still a little bit, even where it's regulated, the people involved, like I'm from Hong Kong, so Macau is super nice and clean, but in other places in Southeast Asia, it's
How
not
does a
so clean.
decentralized contract help you there? Because
Because you don't have to go to a sketchy, like, den or use some like thing that's operated, some app
But-
that's operated by the.
But you
mafia.
can run a centralized gambling company and open source the code.
All right, so I'm going to tell you, decentralized gambling, online gambling, especially in China where I live, there's like, they will have rigged games, and then eventually they will run away with the money. So it's like, it is a real problem. And just because I open source the code that's running on my server, you can't be sure that I didn't make modifications to that code. And you make one modification to the code, and then you're like ripping off your players, or the owner will one day just run. Like this happens all the time.
But again, why can't the people in China just use gambling, online gambling outside of China? The only decentralization you need there is the payment method,
No.
and therefore Bitcoin.
No, the game logic needs to be decentralized. That's the issue. Is that the odds?
Who is responsible for the code of that decentralized gambling logic? How are you profiting from that code?
No. So there's it's not necessary to profit from the code. Like you can there are fair gambling dApps. Okay. And then I guess
Who's building them? Who's gonna fix the bugs?
no.
Who's
So you don't.
decentralized?
So well, it depends on the permanence of the smart contract, right? So if I null out my keys, which I think is my key.
So,
I can do it.
yeah, I can explain it a bit. So, of course, we work with many decentralized games. So, I think in a decentralized applications, including gambling games, one thing important is that nobody can be evil. I mean, it can be evil. It can be. It doesn't have the ability to destroy the result of the game. So it can be a gambling, or it can be a lottery. So nobody can influence the final result, and which can help the participants or the potential participant to believe this is a fair game. So I think there was a lot of scenarios that need to decentralize, or maybe centralized is wanted to achieve, but people don't believe. So for example, gambling. I mean, most people participate in some gambling games online or maybe offline in some kind of a regulated place. China is Macau and somewhere else. But online, I mean, should be a decentralized infrastructure. I mean, EOS is a decentralized infrastructure, and actually Bitcoin do have some kind of gambling games in 2015, maybe.
Satoshi Dice came out. I wouldn't call it decentralized. It was a centralized game where it was a fair game because it was using the Bitcoin as like the random generator. The next block, you don't know what the next block is going to be. But these are all centralized. I mean, you started off your sentence, we work with decentralized games. I don't understand what that means. I'm sorry. How do you work with a decentralized game? Someone built it. You know who that someone is.
So this is actually the beauty of smart contract. You don't have to know who built it, but you just trust the smart contract.
You know how bad of an idea that is, right? Like, did anybody learn their lesson from the DAO? Maybe not anybody in the room. The DAO.
I mean,
remember the DAO?
like-
It was like the first big circle that came up in that other presentation, in the earlier presentation, with like the $158 million, and I was waiting for that circle to just go away and disappear, but it stayed up there because the money was stolen, and then Ethereum forked because Ethereum is also centralized. Okay, never mind.
You know that, did no one learn their lesson when website XYZ was hacked? And then they kept on making websites after that, even though we knew that a website could be hacked.
EOS and
terrible we are.
Ethereum do not prevent that.
Of course, and neither does any, like what I'm trying to say is any technology can have flaws, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't use that technology. Sure, the DAO was written poorly. There was a reentrancy vulnerability, if I'm not mistaken. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't ever make smart contracts again. Just because someone's gotten in a car accident in a shitty car doesn't mean we shouldn't make better cars in the future, right?
Again, what do you define as a smart contract, right? Someone writes a smart contract, correct? Something has to happen at the end of that contract, right? Give me an example of a execution of a smart contract. What takes place? You said gambling as a concept, right?
How about prediction markets? Like, let's say you want to make a bet with somebody. You guys can deposit funds in an escrow account. It's hooked up to some kind of oracle. Let's say you bet on the price of Bitcoin by a certain year. The funds are then automatically distributed to the winner of that bet. You don't need a centralized party to release the funds and decide who won. So I said that's
Bitcoin can do that internally. You could do that on Bitcoin. Okay, fine. So let's say, where would you execute that smart contract? On what platform?
So there's different platforms building prediction markets. So Augur had one. Gnosis is doing something similar. EOS has the
But
technology.
Augur is built on top of Ethereum, which I claim is centralized. So what is the point of your decentralized smart contract on top of a centralized database?
Well, even if Ethereum is centralized, you can still have a blockchain that's decentralized. So unless,
Bitcoin, yes.
but as we said, it's not great for to write smart contracts. So
The liquid sidechain is just no one gets paid to advertise it because there's no inherent profit from that.
can you see a situation, Tone, where there is another decentralized blockchain?
No, you can. That's the problem, right? Can you see a situation where there is another decentralized? No, because every project since Bitcoin had a person standing on top of the room asking for money to build a decentralized platform, which by default they can't do because they're on stage asking for money.
What? Why does that follow? Why can't someone build, like, there's lots of ways to build different things, right? Like, it's like saying, like, oh, all the venture-backed companies can't achieve what they're trying to do because they sit up on stage and ask for money. People achieve things by standing up on a stage and asking for money all the time, and they've
That's not how decentralization works, right? Like, the reason why Bitcoin is decentralized is because the code was released, Bitcoin was worthless for years, and people just worked on it. That's how a decentralized project is created. I mean, it's you don't just build a decentralized project, right? That's not how it works. Like the reason why Bitcoin achieved what it did and it continues to do so was because the first 2 years of its creation, you can't replicate that. You know, that was the point. Satoshi was never a visible person, and he worked on it in the very beginning just because there wasn't enough other people really working on it. And when there were, he was gone, and it just like grew on its own. And that's what makes it decentralized. And the fact that he solved the double spending problem with mining, I haven't seen anything else. Everything else has leaders. Everything else has non-profit foundations that matter. In Bitcoin, there isn't one. They think there is one, but it's totally irrelevant. It has zero power. That's what makes it decentralized.
We don't. EOS doesn't have a foundation either, right?
EOS has 21 people that control pretty much everything, right? It's Dan Larimer's proof of stake with 21 people being in charge.
I mean, there's levels of decentralization, right? Even with Bitcoin.
Not really.
What's the source of truth for the
isn't.
code? Is it hosted? Is Bitcoin is the code repository on GitHub? What if someone on GitHub, on GitHub staff, changes a line of code?
My node is not going to accept that transaction.
What do you mean your node is not going to accept that transaction? It's the code that runs on your computer. The official reference implementation of Bitcoin. If they change that on GitHub, it's centralized, right?
I don't have to use that change.
Correct, but most people probably will.
See? But most people try to push big blocks, and here we are.
Okay. Moving on. Well, actually, I actually have I like this conversation. I like to actually stay on this for a little bit longer. We have some more time, and then we'll have time for questions. But Tone, if there was a smart contract platform that didn't have a leader and was decentralized to the same extent or even more so than Bitcoin, could you see yourself supporting it?
There is. The Liquid sidechain is a smart contract platform. From a technology perspective, yes. I can support it from a technology perspective. That doesn't mean it makes sense to do, right? I don't think, again, decentralized Uber, decentralized Airbnb, they'll work great in places where Uber and Airbnb are illegal. They'll work, people might get arrested if they get caught using them, but they'll work because you can't use a regulated way. For example, Silk Road, worked pretty well in places where drugs were illegal. In places where drugs were legal, why would you need Silk Road? Why would you need to go out and buy Bitcoin to use Silk Road? You can buy whatever you want in certain countries, right? Every jurisdiction is different. But smart contracts, most of the time, they're great. But decentralizing them, in most of the time, just will not make sense. When you need to transfer a digital asset, they'll be needed. But most of the time, that only requires it in the digital world. That's why Bitcoin is so unique compared to everything else.
Thank you. A question for Michael. So we kind of know where everyone else stands in terms of which blockchain they favor. You said you don't consider yourself part of any tribe. Are there any projects that you're interested in that you think are more likely to succeed? Obviously not investment advice.
I mean, I think this whole conversation is really dumb, to be honest with you. Because it's literally just a waiting game. You can argue EOS is going to be effective all day long, but the matter of fact is no one's using EOS outside of the small community. Same with Bitcoin, same with Ethereum. Besides the people in this room, the people that come to crypto conferences, the people that spend time on crypto Twitter, everybody looks at the whole crypto industry as a joke. And I think and they look at Bitcoin as a fucking scam. So I think we should, instead of arguing back and forth about what is going to happen in the future when we have no fucking idea and no concept and no no ability to see the future and see what's actually going to happen, we should sit and say, okay, how can we make actual solutions that are actually valuable and viable to the real world and actually going to have users that use them?
George is the guy who has the users boohoo.com, right? I know I had that impression too, but in China, I'm telling you, the MyKey guys, they have 1 million users.
I have a little story to share. I used to work in I have a very good career path from very big companies. I work for Tencent, and then I started up my own company and sold it to a listed company to become CEO in Hong Kong. And then I joined the bank as the youngest management in a commercial bank in China. And when I decided to join the community in Bihu and start up the MyKey, the CEO of the bank is asking me, hey, George, why are you going to do this? It's like fraud in China, you know. Before President Xi said, okay, we need to accelerate the adoption of blockchain, I wasn't able to tell my friend what I'm doing, okay? Or new people, hey, I'm doing blockchain. In their mind, they were, oh, are you doing some kind of fraud? Or are you doing some kind of money laundering? It's a big tribalism actually in China. So when President Xi said, okay, we are accelerating the adoption of blockchain, and again becoming a blockchain technology provider, I still can't prove what I'm doing. So because China has, let's say, we have 1 billion mobile internet users. So, and currently, we probably only have like 1 million users in a wallet. Only 1 million. That's maybe 1% of the population is to really understand it or play it. Maybe not only understand it. Maybe the 1 million people has like 100K people that still really understand what is blockchain or what is crypto. Even for President Xi, I think he doesn't have time to tell what is crypto or blockchain. So there's still a very small community and very little high-level people really enjoying the technology. It's just like, Tone said, many people are just standing on the stage and asking for money and build something for him to own. It's not like so crypto or so blockchain itself. It's very small. People do not understand. And for Bitcoin, has already been 10 years. So I'm not sure if Satoshi is meant to disappear or happened to disappear. So if today Ethereum, the Vitalik is, I'm sorry, maybe it's not a good word, but the leader of some project is disappeared, or this project maybe become decentralized, or need more time to be accepted. In China, the users grows like quite slowly in the last 1 year because of the price of the Bitcoin. It's not only, but in the last 10 years, it's booming. I mean, it's 100 times booming. This is why you can see the Bitcoin price and other crypto price is increased in a massive extent. So I think it's just because we are still in an early stage. More and more people are going to accept it. For example, in Bihu.com, we have already 1 million registered users, and in the last
1 million.
1 million. And in the last 2 months, we acquired 100K users on MyKey because it's quite user-friendly. It's a little bit different from the traditional blockchain wallets. So we need more higher, better technology, more user-friendly product to acquire more users than to mass adoption. I think will be realized.
Great, thank you. We're going to open it up to the audience now, if anyone has some questions.
I got a question.
Sure.
Tone. So don't you think, in a way, that the explosion of cryptocurrencies can also benefit the adoption, the market cap of Bitcoin? I'm talking about some projects that actually do raise money and gather interest from some other businesses or institutions or investors that may eventually, dump their token for Bitcoin, or
That's not how I want my Bitcoin price to go up, right? Like I still care about people that are being convinced to invest into terrible projects. It's just so a bunch of people get rich and throw nice parties and cash out. Like that's what I was trying to warn people about in this space forever.
But don't you think that adoption and that capital that's going into Bitcoin would not come into Bitcoin were it not for those cryptocurrencies?
Again, I'm not really here to raise the price of Bitcoin for more capital to come into Bitcoin. I'm here for people to recognize the difference I'm here to educate people as to why Bitcoin is important, and I'm here to educate people as to why Bitcoin is different than all these other projects. You know, the fact that the price of Bitcoin probably went up a lot this year because people exited all of these shitcoins. Okay, but that's not how I want Bitcoin to grow. That's not my goal.
Anyone else? Gentleman in the back.
People were trying to convince me that, like I said, there's no use case for any of these altcoins. And people were like, well, Tone, you're a trader. Trading is a use case. No, trading is not a use case. It's like saying gambling is a use case. It's not. It's just something that you do for fun. That's not a use case for society.
Okay, yeah, just before I ask the question, I just want to give some background. So I'm an outsider to crypto and blockchain, but I've worked in software and software as a service enterprise space for many years. So I've come into this from the angle of looking at the technology. Specifically, we have problems in the GIS and mapping space where blockchain tech could be useful. And then seeing it now, I've come to a couple of conferences, this one and Blockchain Live in London, and it seems a lot that the speculation side of things is distracting from the technology. It seems like I view most of the technologies, EOS and things, they're protocols. Okay, those would be tools in a toolbox. And with any other sort of sector of technology, when we're building software, we would just choose the best tool for the job at a particular time. But what I see happening in blockchain, just as an outsider, is people start learning a particular technology, invest in the underlying token, and then they're stuck in that technology. They're not willing to jump ship and choose the correct tool for the correct job. I see Bitcoin has some awesome use cases. I've used EOS, I've used their SDK and their software.
Well, that's because your technology should not depend on a speculative native token, right? This was my whole argument from the beginning. This is why one of the companies, there was a slide earlier with like a bunch of companies, and R3 is, it's like all these other things, and they didn't have a token. An exchange, why does an exchange have a token? Why does Binance have a native token for speculation that can be used as money? Like, these things make no sense. Exchanges have operated for 300 years, never needed the creation of their own money, the creation of their own token. Exchanges have started since Binance without a token. Binance printed a token, they created themselves $1 billion, and that's how they made their money to kick off their exchange, right? Just like an exchange doesn't need a token, your database like EOS and Ethereum do not need a token. They only did it because of the speculative angle to get rich on building it. And then if people use it, use it. If they don't use it, I'll just go and start another database and create another token. That's been Dan Larimer's life, right?
Last question from Dimitri.
Question to Tom.
We want to record this, so we're going to get the microphone to you.
Everyone will get a last word afterwards as well, just to wrap
Thanks.
it up.
First time I heard about Bitcoin, it was when I was living in Cyprus and they cut our deposits. And at that point of time, I thought that it's some kind of like pyramid, and I didn't believe in it, and I didn't shift my career into Bitcoin. But when I heard about ICOs like in 2017, I thought that it's exactly can be a marketing instrument and fundraising instrument to create some kind of tribe, to to develop a community and to do some products that can use this token like as a marketing instrument. So I was brought into the crypto because of the tokens. Now, my question to Tom, if there were no Ethereum, no other tokens, only Bitcoin, like the only currency, do you think right now this audience would be bigger or smaller?
I don't know, the audience?
Like, I mean, generally the crypto community, would it be bigger or smaller? And what would be the price of BTC? Bigger or smaller?
It's impossible to say. There would certainly be a lot less conferences, but these conferences aren't focused on Bitcoin, right? There's very few conferences. that do focus on Bitcoin, and their audience are still relatively small, the speculative angle. Now, could Bitcoin be more adopted today throughout the world? Yeah, that's possible. There could be more users of Bitcoin. When was the last time you went to an internet conference, right? I mean, they don't happen, right? Because they used to happen, but they don't. You don't have to be at an audience learning about it, like if you're using it. Like there's many Bitcoin users that have never been to any conference, right? They just use Bitcoin because it's a currency. So it's a strange question.
No,
and it's impossible to answer.
No, I mean, the question is a little bit different. It's like, do you think that all the token we have influence in a good way in terms of creating bigger community, bigger adoption, or in a bad way? That's like good or bad?
It's too early to tell, right? Like I still think Ethereum is going to completely collapse. I still think EOS is going to completely collapse. Now Ethereum will probably collapse first because it has a little, because it's been around for a while and people are starting not to use it. Tether has already gone off of it. Someone on stage already switched from Ethereum to EOS. Now EOS is also growing exponentially faster than Ethereum, which is growing exponentially faster than Bitcoin. People think there's free, unlimited data storage that you can outsource to, and there really isn't. Google is close. Google is almost unlimited free data storage. I have a YouTube channel, over 1,000 videos. I have ads on my channel, but I don't have to have ads on my channel. Google provides me free unlimited storage. Now it's not actually free. They are, watching everything we do, and they're collecting that information. So it would be nice to have a Google-style unlimited storage that is not collecting all of my information. But if you think that's going to be free, that's insane, right? That's not going to happen. You have to pay for that storage. And people are treating Ethereum and EOS and other these applications as unlimited free data storage. And that's why they're growing exponentially fast, and that's not going to be sustainable.
Cool. I'd like to give everyone on the panel the opportunity to say a final word. This could be about what you think we need to do to unify the crypto community. It could be shilling a project you're working on. It could be something else. Anything you want to say, please try to keep it to 1 minute each because we are out of time.
I'll make it shorter. Guys already spoke a lot. I organize 2 conferences that are focused on Bitcoin with core developers and some of the smartest people that I have found in this community that I try to bring. One is called Unconfiscatable in Las Vegas. The other is called Understanding Bitcoin in Malta. Vegas is coming up in February. Malta will be at the end of May.
I think we just need to stop having arguments about this shit, to be honest with you. The whole panel is called Ending Crypto Tribalism, but we spent 15, 20 of the 30 minutes arguing about crypto tribalism and having a back and forth. Right? I think, in reality, if you're not going to convince Tone, and Tone isn't going to convince you to leave EOS. So if someone starts an argument, you just say, cool, we'll see. And then you end it, and that's it.
Okay, so when Ella invited me to this panel, I really like the topic about tribalism because I think Chinese people probably the most to be tribalism the nationality in the world, and which is so interesting that in the crypto world or in the blockchain world it happens everywhere, like tribalism, different protocols and different other things. So I do not know that in future there will be one protocol can serve all of the people. Probably not, because we have different people, different culture, different nationality. So tribalism will be a normal things happen, I think, in a long future. But what we need to do, I think, is to take advantage of different protocols from the tribalism. So, for example, EOS has a very good account system. Ethereum is much better decentralized than Ethereum. understand. Bitcoin, of course, is a really decentralized protocols in the world, or tokens. So what MyKey and what MyKey doing today is we want to build a new economy based on trusted network, a trusted network that can protect your personal data or privacy compared to what Facebook or Google doing. But I know that Google is saying they don't want to be evil, but they can be evil, right? So we want to build a new economy in a trusted network. So, but this trusted network, maybe it's a cross-chain stuff. So we want to have a cross-chain solution, a cross-chain identity, and a cross-chain wallet with one ID to take advantage of EOS, take advantage of Ethereum and new protocols to help the users to manage different assets in different protocols and different applications on different protocols. That's what we are doing, and I hope we have more product and results to share with you all in future. Thank you.
For sure. So I'll be real fast. I know we're tight for time. I just want to, I guess, say I definitely appreciate the conversation that we do have. I do think you're probably right that these things aren't super fruitful at the end of the day. But if anyone is interested in building any applications on any chain, make sure to hit us up at Tensai. So that's my plug, and yeah.
Awesome. Give it up for the panel, guys. Thank you, Carl and Mark.